everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of the 13th Man Sports Live Show. It's Shane alongside Frankie. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. We have some big news to let you guys know. We'll get right into it with the CFL news that broke shortly before we went on air. But first, shout out to Chris Hoffley, social media manager for the Red Blacks, fundraising quite a bit of money for Chio. So we decided to get involved.
What is it at now?
Last time I checked, it has to be over like 50,000.
It lasted. I'm gonna have to look. Well, I stopped sharing it into Facebook groups, meaning that we have no viewers, but that's fine. This is more important. Let's see.
So if you don't know, Stuntman Stu in Ottawa, big name, absolutely hates pineapple pizza. Absolutely hates it. He just had a slice of pineapple pizza. So according to this, if I get to the bottom, we are at $56,511. Holy shit! When we did it, there were just over 6, I believe, is when we got involved.
No, there wasn't even that many, because I remember thinking that maybe 6,000 would be where I would want to go, and then it ended up being 7, and then I found out that you were involved.
We decided at 8,000. We hit 8,000 Saturday night, and you can see by me, I'm bald. I shaved it off. Frankie, who said we would be doing the show bald, has decided to wear a hat for the show.
I am not wearing a hat to hide the fact that I'm bald, because actually, Shane, I kind of low-key like it.
So why are you wearing a hat?
Because McLaren, okay, you got to support the boys. Lando had a fantastic showing this weekend, okay?
Then put a shelf on the back of your wall and put the hat there.
Yeah, no, you see, I'm in a temporary solution here, so that is just not going to happen.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, because, you're the one who posted saying that we're going to do the show bald, and now you're wearing a hat.
Look, here's the thing, okay? My understanding of what I said, which is actually the best understanding of what I said, is that I'm actually, in fact, bald underneath the hat. So, therefore, I am doing it.
We'll do the show bald. So, my understanding was, okay, that means we're going to be bald on the show, not covering it with a hat.
Look, go back for all of our episodes. Find the last one that we did where I was not wearing a hat.
You can do one episode without a hat.
No.
One episode.
No.
Well, you have no hair.
Dude, I have so many hats that I have to find a place to wear them.
Who cares? They're just hats.
I do. I easily have...
Don't even talk to me.
40 hats. I easily have 40 hats.
Oh, that's like amateur hour. I had like 100 at one point. I had like 150 at one point. I went through this huge phase of just buying hats.
You also worked at Lids. So you got that employee discount.
So even after I was at Lids and before I was at Lids, I still bought hats. I just had random hats.
I just need somebody giving them for free. That's all I'm asking for. Plus, the hats that I buy are expensive, man. Like, oh my god.
All hats are expensive.
Not if you buy crappy ones or not.
Okay, well, if you're talking about like top of the line hats, they're all going to be like $40+.
Yeah, but I go for those fitted, MLB hats. Those things cost you an arm and a leg.
They're $44.99 plus tax.
Yeah, and they come out to being like $50, $55 each. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, because hats are expensive, which is why I stopped buying them.
Very expensive. Which is why I keep buying them, because I am an idiot. So hence why my hat. Actually, you want to know this? You want to know how much money I spent on this hat?
I'm gonna say
nearly $100. Nearly $100 after I get it. Dude, I got an email. I got an email from UPS after I bought it, and they're like, "Yeah, you're not getting it until you pay our duty fees." So I'd already spent $60 at that point. So I was like, "Oh, I guess I got to toss another 30 down the drain."
Ridiculous.
So you want to ask why I got my hat on? Boom. There's all the reasons. There's all the reasons.
Okay, but anyways, we can talk about hats all episode. We're going to jump right into it. So we're going to start off first with a Pro Football Focus, or Pro Football Talk came out earlier today with an article saying that teams, the CFL has informed players and agents that the August 5th date is solid. Camp will begin sometime in like July, I think 12th, with a quarantine happening near the end of June. Everything should be finalized by the beginning of June.
I heard this is horseshit though.
Yeah. So just JC Abbott, one of the other guys from 3 Down Nation, Farhan Laji. There's a good amount, like there's like 4 or 5 people, like reporters have come out and been like, we haven't heard anything. We've been told that this isn't actually accurate, but the dates line up. So,
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen. Maybe it's just because I haven't been on Twitter since that came out, but I haven't seen the players come out and say, you know, when are we going to be told this or bullshit? You know, something along those lines that we normally see.
Have come out that was like, we haven't been told anything.
Yeah, and thank you for that because I haven't seen that.
Like, have all the players been told yet? Maybe not. But another thing that broke literally like 5 minutes before we came live, BC's president, according to Justin Dunk, has come out and said that there will be an announcement at some point in the next couple of weeks regarding a 14-game season, like a schedule for the 14
actually
games.
before we move on, I do have to prove that I am in fact bald. All right, there's your nice little tour. There we go.
So
let's go, McLaren. Lando's a god.
According to Rick, man, that's a French name that I cannot pronounce. It's actually supposed to be the coming days. The 2021 CFL schedule will be finalized in the near future.
Yep.
3 Down League delayed its start with a 14-game schedule. So I know Dave Naylor, I believe, said that there could be an update as early as mid-June. So who knows? Maybe we do start August 5th. If there's a schedule, because why would you release a schedule if you don't feel confident that you're going to be able to play August 5th?
Yeah, I don't think that just because players haven't been told yet doesn't mean that that's not the target. I don't know, like, you know, I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody who knows anything about the situation yet because it's kind of like crept up on us, I guess, tonight. Eventually, I think that we'll have maybe Dave Naylor back on at some point, or, you know, we can get a hold of Farhan. We'll figure something out to get some more information on this. But at the moment, I think they're still aiming for that August start date. I think that lines up with where the Western provinces are going to be with their COVID vaccination rates and in terms of getting enough people in the stands. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of mind games being played still, and I don't really appreciate it.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of non-disclosure agreements being like, so as much as they may want to tell us, they legally can't, which is fair because things can change on a moment's notice. I know last week we had the Montreal kind of playing and kind of putting it out there that they could start the season on the road, play maybe a home game or two in a road stadium out of Montreal. So I think, honestly, though, this is probably the most optimistic I've been in the last couple of months about the CFL actually starting when they say they're going to start. And if it means that, you know, Ottawa, Toronto, and Hamilton aren't playing in their cities to start, I mean, so be it. Give me CFL football. I don't care.
Look, the only thing that I'm interested in this schedule, I'll be honest with you, is where games are scheduled to take place and for how long they're scheduled to take place outside of eastern cities. Oh, they're going to start out west. The question is, do they play home games out there? Are they anticipating that? Is there like a contingency plan for that maybe? But I think other than that, nothing else matters until we actually find a way to get put to camp. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like the actual games portion of this might be the easy part. How can you get this many players into camp, get them quarantined for 2 weeks, which I don't know. If you're I guess that's kind of getting into the doctor's part of the shit, but I don't want to do that. How do you make that happen? There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff there.
Yeah, but I mean, they could easily, you can't really limit the rosters. I don't know how many people are on each roster right now. I haven't actually had a chance to break down the roster amount, but if you're coming into camp with like 60 guys, you throw them in a hotel and you pair them up and whatnot. But I think this is I think there's enough, like a good amount of teams that are willing to start the season with minimal fans that like you tell the other teams like, hey, we're starting without you. Like I think that's the you can't allow one or two teams to hold up the other ones if everyone else is willing to play.
Yeah, no, I think, but I mean, at the same time, if a team is not going to, if they're not going to play, there's not much you can, like, you can't move on without somebody unless you'd have to make that team play.
Or you allow a team to run ownership of it for a year.
Yeah, okay, so let's use the example of the Argos, though. You can't just take the Argos away from their owners, give it to a different owner, and have them run it as if it's their own for a year. That's just, it's not going to work. Like, no, every team has to be on board to incur the financial burden that a 2021 season is going to be, particularly at the beginning of it.
Yes, but I don't think you can allow a team you can't allow one team to hold up the rest of the league.
No, and I don't think that they're going to get to that situation because if there's 8 teams on board with playing, and for the sake of argument, Toronto's that one team that doesn't want to, I don't think that they have the power that they think they do to hold the entire rest of the league back, no matter how much that ownership group wants to believe it.
Yeah, like if Montreal, BC, I mean, BC seems that they're ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like
they have to be.
Yeah, but I remember a lot of people were like, "Oh, BC last year that whole thing was BC was one of the teams that didn't want to play." It seems like this year they're one of the teams that is pushing to play.
How much do you think that has to do with the conversation that we had of last season? They could survive if they didn't play a game. This year it was more of if you don't play, the league is probably going to fold.
I also think that the situation in BC has finally settled a little bit. Because they did have to deal with that whole transition of ownership.
Yep.
In a way. So I think with that kind of settled, also it's easier to sell your product when you're playing.
That is true.
If there's people that are willing to buy, but they want games, then so be it. But I don't know. I'm excited. I think this is the most optimistic I've been in a while for CFL football.
I mean, I hope you're right. But like ever since that conversation with Randy Ambrosie where he said that we're playing football, I feel like my confidence has never really gone up. It's only really gone down for some reason. And maybe that's whole idea.
You don't hear anything.
That's what I mean. The out of sight, out of mind thing is very dangerous for them right now.
Yeah. But I think
very dangerous.
Unfortunately, because they're working, with so many health departments, they don't want something to leak early and get everyone's hopes up. Like at this point, my thinking is no news is good news.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is actually good news? I'll bring this up too. Where are the XFL talks at?
We haven't heard.
Nobody said that they progressed anywhere.
But
I mean, again,
Dave Naylor did say that there is most likely a bunch of NDAs.
Yep.
Which is why we're not hearing about anything.
And I was just going to get to that, but I think the longer that it takes for something to sort itself out there, potentially the less likely that it might become. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that front, but I feel like if something was going to happen, it was going to be before the CFL got back to playing football. Because I think when the league was playing in 2019, I don't think the financial situation was as dire as people make it sound. I think they were actually more stable than they've been in a long time, to be honest with you. When they're not playing football, that's when things get bad. And I think if they can get back to playing, especially this summer, I think that conversation might fade away pretty quickly.
But if the XFL is planning on a 2022 season, what's the rush of getting something done in the CFL?
Well, right? Okay, let me rephrase this. I think the odds of the CFL merging with the XFL and becoming American football is less likely if the CFL is playing.
See, I've never believed that it would go to American football. I always figured that if the CFL was going to merge with the XFL, it would still be Canadian football.
I believe that unless the league was in dire straits and about to fold, which, if they didn't play football, from all indications that we've heard, would have been the case.
But I also don't think spring football as a 4-down league can survive in the States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've seen league after league fail. Why not introduce a 3-down game? Yep. Realistically, if you're the XFL, you've already folded twice. So what?
Well, the second time wasn't really their fault.
No, but they've still done it, unfortunately. Like, this is, in a lot of people's mind, this is XFL 3.0. So
fair enough.
In what way is going to a Canadian style game gonna hurt you?
Yeah, and I think I can't remember. It may have been Dave Naylor who said that they polled XFL fans or NFL fans in the U.S. about what they want to see in the XFL, and they pitched a bunch of Canadian rules, and they said, no way, that's stupid. We don't want that. I think you'd kind of have to force them to actually watch it and want to watch it, because if they see Canadians stapled on it, they're not going to watch it. And I mean, how many people do you see online that are American that think Canadian football is just stupid? Whether they are right or wrong, it's their opinion.
This is also the same kind of, like, my issue is that America, like, I've said it before, it's all about marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are so caught up in the lights and the flash, like that entire thing, where, like, if you actually look at the game, the CFL is better. And I think if you can get more people in the States to actually go to a CFL game, a Canadian football ruled game, you will see people's impression of the CFL turn.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I think you're right. I do prefer the CFL game. I know there's people who don't. I understand their reasonings. That's fine. You know, if you actually want to watch both games and decide which one you think is better after you've done that, credit to you, you know, whether you pick the Canadian version or the American version. But I think that, you know, we've said this so many times that the CFL game is the more exciting, it's the faster pace, and I guess it's honestly the more higher stakes game, with every play meaning so much towards the final outcome of the game. Like, I think that they would like it, but I don't think they're going to give it a chance. And I think that's part of the reason that they wouldn't go to a 3-down game. But like I said, I think we're getting it's becoming less and less likely that we actually have to figure out if they're going to like it or not.
Yeah. I mean, I think they would. I think if they actually have a chance to really dive into it, they would. You know who I would have loved to see in their prime in a CFL game on a CFL field? Andrew Luck.
That would never happen, but
it would never. But his arm strength, that guy could sling it.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like he's one of those guys that was underappreciated so much in his shorter career in the NFL because of injuries. That, like, if he were to come up here at one point or another, he would just dominate because of his arm strength.
Yeah, I want to as well kind of move off of that a little bit. They said they're announcing the schedule soon. What matchups are you looking forward to the most?
Winnipeg, Saskatchewan.
Of course.
Obviously.
Yep.
But I'm interested, like, there should be a renewed Hamilton-Toronto rivalry. That's kind of been one-sided the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for that. But I personally, BC versus Edmonton. I just think that everything about that just screams between the coaches, the players. You have the Edmonton Green Yellows versus the BC Lions going against the OG Red Blacks coach. I don't know. I feel like that matchup, that first game, is going to be so high-powered that it's going to be so much fun to watch.
Obviously, all the traditional rivalries, you know, you can go Hamilton, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa has become a pretty solid one since the Red Blacks have come back. Obviously, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Calgary, Edmonton, And then I don't know who's BC really rival. I don't know. BC's kind of that left out team without somebody. But honestly, I think the matchup that I'm looking forward to is Ottawa and Edmonton, because I think there's so much comparing between Ottawa and Edmonton just simply because Edmonton has so many ex-Red Blacks that is the game that Marcel Desjardins is going to need to have circled on his calendar to kind of justify the moves that he made. If Ottawa wins that game, he's justified.
Ottawa versus Winnipeg.
That's also going to be good. I think Matt Nichols is going to have a solid season.
Is going to be that in Toronto and Calgary.
Ottawa and Toronto might be actually one of the best, most intense and insane storylines and games going into it.
Yeah, but I mean, you have you don't just have the Dinwiddie Arbuckle storyline for Toronto versus Calgary. You have Eric Rogers, you have Cordero Law, you have Charleston Hughes, some big name stampeders in Toronto now.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that storyline, like that first matchup, I would love for that to be the opening matchup. Calgary versus Toronto in Calgary to open the season. Personally, I would love it.
I think that's something that we'll actually end up seeing just because I think they're going to want the Western teams to play their home games. So, but I mean, on the Ottawa-Toronto front, Shane, I don't know if it gets spicier than quarterback swap after not playing a game.
I think it's not as heated as people think. I think, like, realistically, what happened? What happened was
home run, Vlad.
Oh,
carry on.
What happened was exactly what people thought was gonna happen last season. So, like, as much as it sucks seeing Arbuckle go, whatever. I think most fans were honestly expecting him to walk in free agency anyways, and for us to sign Nichols. So, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that important. I really don't think the Ottawa-Toronto storyline is going to last one game, and that's it.
I think it'll be intense. I'm excited for it.
But I think the storyline will last one game. The Toronto-Calgary storyline, if they play more than once, that's a storyline to keep an eye out the entire season.
Yeah. And
especially if Calgary struggles and Toronto is top in the division.
Before we move on from the CFL, unless you have another thing you want to talk about.
No,
I'm looking at training camps and storylines again. What do you think is the most interesting one going into it?
I don't think there is any.
I tell you what, there's one for sure.
Who?
Dane Evans, Jeremiah Masoli.
Yeah.
Who's the starting quarterback in the Hamilton Tiger Cats?
Evans.
You think it's going to be Evans?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. Now, extension on that. If and when do you think Jeremiah Masoli takes that spot over again?
I don't think he does.
You think this is Dane Evans' team to ride, eh?
And it's no offense to Masoli. And
he's fantastic, by the way. I absolutely love Jeremiah Masoli.
I hate using the age as a reason. 32. He's now 2 years removed from ACL, so he should be 100% healthy.
Yeah, if there's a guy that this layoff helped at all, it's Jeremiah Masoli.
But how much has that helped Dane Evans? Right? Like, and this isn't to hate on Masoli, because I personally love Masoli. But there's a very good chance that Masoli ends the season in Saskatchewan or Winnipeg.
That's what I was just is Jeremiah Masoli potentially the same as Zach Collaros last year, where if somebody's quarterback gets hurt or somebody's quarterback struggles, and let's be very, very fair and say that Zach Collaros has a history of kind of struggling, and Cody Fajardo has 1 year under his belt of proven starting
Collaros has
football
a history
quarterback.
of being hurt.
Yes.
Like, if he can stay healthy, he's the top quarterback in the league. There's no doubt about it.
Look, and I don't want to disrespect Cody Fajardo either, because what he did in 2019 was absolutely insane.
But he's a first-year starter.
But he has to do it again.
Like, this is his first year going into camp as a starter.
Yeah.
Coming off of being a third-string quarterback his entire career in the CFL.
Mm-hmm. He's got. I'm confident he can do it again. I think he can. I think anybody who rates him as the top quarterback in the CFL has lost it a little bit though. But he's more than capable of doing that again. I firmly believe.
I have a feeling that like if they're going to trade him, I think also Edmonton's probably going to be a wild card here. If Harris struggles at all,
or gets hurt,
I would not be surprised to see Edmonton trying to pull off a trade with Hamilton. But
is it insane? Is it insane to think that? I don't want to disrespect Nick Arbuckle again. Like it's very, very hard to talk about guys struggling because we've grown relationships with players around the league and they're all fantastic human beings. Nick is no exception. But again, he is a first-time starting quarterback. If he struggles, the Argos have a roster on paper that can win a Grey Cup 100%. Jeremiah Masoli might be a fit there as well.
You're going to have to give a Johnny Manziel kind of offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what team is willing to give a Johnny Manziel kind of offer. Like, no, this isn't Montreal where Montreal made that deal because they needed Manziel to fill the seats.
Exactly.
Like that. Exactly. Like, let's be honest. Like you're lying to yourself if you think that deal was purely football. It wasn't.
Yeah.
They wanted to sell his name. That's just how it was.
And they sold a lot of jerseys. I'll tell you that. I know a couple of buddies who bought jerseys.
They did. It was a smart move. Realistically, and with how bad it, like how much of a crapshoot the draft is, it was probably worth it. It's unfortunate that he didn't have success in Montreal because that would have been huge. But shout out to Vernon Adams for taking over that starting role finally, and I'm hoping for a really good season with him.
Me too. He's also he's a spectacular guy. I hope nothing but the best for Vernon. That guy stuck it out long term in the CFL.
100%. I feel like Masoli, if you're going to trade for Masoli, you're going to give up picks.
Yeah.
You're going to have to trade picks, and like I don't know what team is really willing to do that outside of maybe Saskatchewan.
The thing, I mean, I'm just looking at teams around the league that have young quarterbacks that are kind of – Vernon Adams is one of them. Cody Fajardo is another one, and Nick Arbuckle is another one. Those three teams, I think, I think all three of those quarterbacks are very good quarterbacks. I think they all can be very elite starters in the CFL. We just got to see them, in some instances, do it again. And for Arbuckle, he's got to do it for the first time. I have another storyline, though, that I'm incredibly excited for.
Is it the Nathan Rourke signing his rookie deal?
It is, in fact, Nathan Rourke. And by the way, this preseason was supposed to start this weekend, right? Or this past weekend.
Yeah, it was supposed to. Preseason.
The BC Lions were going to play.
Yeah, it was supposed to start on Friday.
We would have got to watch Nathan Rourke there, and I'm really
to go to Montreal on the 23rd. I was planning on going to Montreal on the 23rd to catch the Red Blacks Montreal game.
Yeah, I am pissed off that we didn't get to watch Nathan Rourke this past weekend.
But okay, so we really need to move on from the CFL between the first half hour. But he is going in there competing for the second job.
Absolutely. And I mean, who's going to take it from him? Will Arndt? I like Will. He fought his way onto the team. He was the Red Blacks practice roster quarterback, and he was pretty much written in permanent ink in that practice roster spot, and then completely dominated when compared to Danny Collins. He won his spot, and then he won some starts.
Because I love Collins.
Yeah,
I thought he was a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Will Arndt is a fighter. I don't think he's going to have an easy job at winning that spot. But I think at the end, Nathan Rourke is definitely the more talented quarterback between the two.
We could easily see there's a chance that if Mike Riley and Bo Levi get hurt at any point in the time, we could see two Canadian starters in the CFL at quarterback.
Montel Cozart is still in Calgary, though.
Yeah, but I still think O'Connor has a better chance of winning that second spot than Cozart. No offense to Cozart. I just think that O'Connor's a better quarterback than him.
I wrote that article about backup to starter candidates, and Cozart was my long shot.
But, we could see two Canadian quarterbacks to start to see at some point in the season.
Yep.
Depending, obviously, we don't want players to get hurt. We're not advocating for players to get hurt.
No, absolutely not. But I mean, we've seen in the CFL,
quarterback got hurt.
Exactly.
So it's a possibility.
And that's, I think, 2017 that happened as well. So twice in the last 3 years. Every single starting quarterback missed at least one game.
So it is possible. But we're going to move on. We'll jump into some NHL hockey real quick, talk about some playoffs. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl getting swept, 3 straight overtime losses and one game they led 4-1 in the third period, and Mike Smith shot the bed. Archibald had a stupid penalty, the clipping on Stanley, who I'm a huge fan of. I remember watching him when he was in Windsor and Kitchener with in the OHL. Huge fan of his. But, man, that game, Spencer Knight coming in for Florida and stealing game 5. Crazy.
Color me shocked, by the way, that the Oilers didn't make it out of round 1. I called every time that I said that Winnipeg was going to win that series. People called me insane. To me, that was the most obvious outcome. The entire playoffs.
I picked Edmonton because I didn't know which Hellebuyck was going to show up, and I've said it multiple times. If Hellebuyck came in as Hellebuyck from last year or the year before, they're winning the series. It's the same thing with Price in Montreal. They get Price. He is not the reason they're down 2-1.
No, not at all.
So Hellebuyck balled. Like, Hellebuyck played great, but the depth for Winnipeg just outpowered everyone.
Well, that's it. I mean, you've got Pierre-Luc Dubois, Mark Scheifele out there, Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers made a massive difference when he got healthy. Like,
Paul Stastny.
Yeah, I mean, their offensive side of the ice is just so strong, and I mean, their defense.
Ran 4 lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Edmonton only ran 2.
And even like right down to the bottom with like Mason Appleton.
Yeah,
are they
like that lineup is crazy.
Yeah. And like their defense is whatever, but you know what? They play solid hockey. I think the Winnipeg Jets are the best complete team in the North. Does that mean they're going to win the division? Not necessarily. But if Toronto does close the series out against Montreal, they are not going to walk through the Jets.
No, I think honestly the Jets could easily beat either Montreal or Toronto.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
If Hellebuyck is on his game, and you see the dominance of the full... Because here's the thing. The top 12 is better than anyone in the division. Mm-hmm. Like, their 12 forwards are the best 12 forwards in the division, hands down.
And especially, I mean, what happened to John Tavares, by the way, is
a travesty.
Horrifying. Now, I don't think I've had more fear put into me watching a live event than when I watched that Roman Grosjean crash. That, horrifying, both of them. But outside of, like, going into the hockey aspect of that, that's awful for the Leafs. That's a very, very hard pill to swallow with a player that good and that important to your team going out probably for the whole playoffs. I can't see him coming back.
Yeah, he's out for a minimum 2 weeks.
Yeah, if he came back in 2 weeks, I think, like, I don't know. He must have went to a magic hospital or something. Went to Hogwarts.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's like if it's Winnipeg versus Toronto, I definitely feel like Winnipeg is going to come out of it.
Yeah, I'm not willing to go that far and say that it's like my prediction. I think we're going to have to see what that Maple Leafs team looks like after this Montreal series, if it is in fact them that come out of it. Montreal's been laying the body a ton, so you might see them a little bit banged up coming out of it. But
which is perfect for Winnipeg.
That's exactly what I mean. I don't have that game on. What's going on in that Montreal game right now? Do you know?
I have no idea. I haven't watched.
Okay,
I don't have it
good, because neither have I. I'm an awful Habs fan, but the Jays are on, so I don't care.
But, going elsewhere, we had Spencer Knight stealing a win for Florida, which, fantastic for the kid.
Yeah,
good on him. Tampa's still going to win the series. I don't think Spencer Knight's going to win them 3 in a row.
Well, I would love to see it, though.
Same. I don't get me wrong. I would love to see it, but I don't see it happening. We have Carolina and Nashville tied at 2-2 going into tonight's game.
Yep. At 8 o'clock.
I think Carolina comes out of that series. Can we just talk about Minnesota winning with 14 shots, pulling a Kazakhstan and winning with 14 shots over Vegas to survive till Game 6. Cam friggin' Talbot looking like a Vezina Trophy winner again. Like, what the hell is going on?
How about Tristan Jarry?
I mean, how about Samsonov? Samsonov did something just as bad against Boston.
No, but you know what? Here's the thing, man. Penguins fans had Marc-Andre Fleury and Matt Murray. Yeah. They picked Matt Murray. All right. Now you got Matt Murray and Tristan Jarry. They took Tristan Jarry. Now you have Tristan Jarry and you have Casey DeSmith. They're all taking Casey DeSmith again. Shane, they've gotten worse every time they've done this.
I would not be surprised to see either Mrazek, Driedger, or Anderson in Pittsburgh next year.
Every single goalie that they have opted for, other than their starter, has made them worse. And they are still going on about how Casey DeSmith is better than Tristan Jarry. What the hell is going on?
I don't know, man. I don't know. They gave us fucking Gustafsson should be their starter right now, but they gave him to us for Derek Brassard. So, like, hey, whatever. It is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, so Sorokin, and I've said this before, I think European goalies should not come overseas until they're like early 20s. Stay in Europe until you're 22, 23, or 24. Then come over. I said this about Gustafsson, and I got reamed for it. If Philip Gustafsson stayed in Sweden for the length of time that Sorokin and Shesterkin stayed in Russia, he would be coming over with the same kind of hype that those two did.
And this is just goalie development. And I mean, keeping them out of your system, I guess, also helps you with their control time. It helps you keep them under RFA a little bit longer, under arbitration.
But it also, like, playing goalie is in Europe is completely different than playing goalie in the
Mm-hmm.
AHL.
Yep.
And, like, playing goalie in the AHL is a lot harder than playing in the NHL because you have so much turnover. Like, it seems like every other day you have a new group of players in front of you.
But from personal experience, the other thing too, so much of goaltending is between your ears. So if playing in your home country helps you, become more confident at the end of the day, if you're playing really, really well out in Sweden, I'll leave you there, right? I don't need to bring you over here and rush you over here to get you playing in the American League where, honestly, how much better are the players in the American League versus in Sweden? I just don't, like you said, I don't see much of a reason to bring somebody, especially if they're having success in Europe, over. I don't know.
Unless they want it, because obviously the players have a choice, right? If the players want to come over, you're going to allow them to come over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, so, we got Minnesota stealing the show out of Vegas. Ridiculous.
Montreal and Toronto are tied at 0 right now, by the way.
They were tied at 0 going into the second last night, and then they lost.
No, I'm not saying they're going to win. I said last week that they would never see Game 6 to see any fans in the stands. So I don't want to hear
it. Washington getting eliminated by Boston. Colorado sweeping St. Louis, which I think we all saw coming.
St. Louis had the second highest payroll in hockey this year, too.
Yeah.
Chew on that one for a second.
Shit the bed.
Yep.
So you have, like, that's a series. Boston beating Washington in 4 after dropping game 1. And who's the other one Winnipeg. And those are the only 3 series so far that have been completed.
Yeah.
Tampa, Vegas, and Winnipeg all had a chance to move on, and only Winnipeg won.
In triple overtime as well.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But this, I mean, when does Connor McDavid say he's had enough of this? He did not look happy last night.
No, but realistically, like I mentioned this on Twitter, I wonder how the negotiations went. Was it something like Chiarelli being like, how much do you want? His agent being like, how much are you willing to pay? And they're like, 12.5. And his agent's like, all right, cool. We'll take it. Like,
is he making league maximum?
I don't think there is a league maximum.
There is.
then I would assume so.
Yeah, unless it went up. I don't know, but either way.
But like, I don't feel like McDavid. I feel like if you offered McDavid $8 million for 8 years and told him like, hey, we could give you 12, but we rather use that $4 million to help build a team around you, he would have said yes.
Maybe, but I mean, when they signed him, he was also an RFA, so it's not like he was going anywhere. But like at some point, if I'm Connor McDavid, I'm gonna go up to the GM's office and be like, yo, like either build a team here that's capable of winning and stop putting bums like Zach Kassian on my line, or trade me, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. They have $22 million in cap space before someone gets picked off of expansion, and I think a lot of people are expecting it to be James Neal. There's a chance
that's another bum they have
because they signed Lucic to a ridiculous. Like Shirley signed Lucic to a stupid deal
and a bum
and traded but I think there's a chance that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Adam Larson are in New Jerseys, and I don't know how you replace those guys.
I mean, who cares? Nobody on their team is worth anything in my eyes, like, other than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Nobody else is off the table in a trade for me. I don't care.
No, but you're losing. Like, you have to trade if you don't think you're going to sign Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or Adam Larson. You have to trade them.
Yeah.
At some before between now and the draft, because like you have $22 million in cap space. There is no way that you're keeping those two. Plus, trying to get a goaltender who is not Mike Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I don't know. When does it decide, well, we need to stop spending stupid money on crappy players, go get a goaltender, go get some defensemen, and maybe get the best player that potentially hockey's ever seen when it's all said and done, some help. Because the fact that they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, two guys that continuously score the most points in hockey, well over a point a game. They've won nothing. Can't even get out of the first round.
But like I said on Twitter, the true Stanley Cup contending teams are built. Like they are designed, they are built to withstand losing their top players for long periods of time. Tampa is built to lose Kucherov and Stamkos for long periods of time. Vegas, I don't even think Vegas is built to lose Pacioretty and Stone for long periods of time. If you were to lose both of those, they're screwed. Like Vegas is just downright screwed. Colorado is built to lose McKinnon, Rantanen, or Landeskog, or any combination of the three for a long period of time. You know, if you're a true cup contending team year to year, you're built and designed to handle losing a top player or two for long periods of time. If McDavid were let's say McDavid were to get hurt in game like 20 and he were to miss the rest of the season, there is no way Edmonton makes the playoffs.
The Oilers are picking first overall at that point.
And I said this before the season, and I'll say it again. Ottawa is built better than Edmonton, and they're built
that's
better.
Easy, though. That's easy, though.
But they're also built better than Vancouver. In Canadian teams, they are the fifth and arguably the fourth best built team in terms of of being able to withstand losing a top player for long periods of time. They're arguably the third or fourth best, depending on how you view top players.
I don't want Sens fans to go insane on me when I say this, because I believe that the Sens' young talent can be top flight players, but the Sens right now don't have anybody on their roster that is considered a top flight player in the league yet. I think Brady Tkachuk can be, Tim Stützle can be, even like a guy like Shane Pinto might be at some point. But when they lose somebody, they don't have quite as to replace. For Toronto, if they lose Austin Matthews, they can figure that out. But that's a big loss. The Oilers with Connor McDavid, that's a big loss. But they don't. That's a difference. They don't have anybody to replace that.
But you look at Montreal, Winnipeg. Their big players aren't considered tier A McDavid Matthews plays. but they're still solid players that can be filled in. Like if you were to lose Scheifele, like if Winnipeg were to lose Scheifele for a long period of time, you have the personnel to move up, and you're not really missing a gear. You might be a little slower, but you're not missing that final gear. Stastny could slot in there. Dubois can slide in there. Hell, even like Adam Lowry can slide in there if needed.
Yep.
You know, Ottawa, yeah, they don't have those like top tier players yet. But if you were to lose Tkachuk, they have the depth to replace not everything, obviously, but enough to be competitive. If Chabot were to go down, they have enough depth, in my opinion, to at least stay competitive if you were to lose them for a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's going to be put to the test, especially next season, you know, when Sens say they're going to be competing for a playoff spot. Whether that happens or not yet, we don't know. Obviously.
I think they do. They were the third best team in the North from February 12th.
For sure. But, I mean, circumstances are going to be changing.
You have to deal with the East. You have to deal with the Atlantic. And realistically, who knows how Boston's going to be or how Toronto's going to be. And you have Detroit and Buffalo.
For sure. But also part of my point as well is when you have expectations, it is very difficult to meet them. So if their expectation is to make the playoffs, we'll see how that goes. But, I mean
if you ask the players, their expectation was to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, but I mean, that was unrealistic. Let's be fair. It was unrealistic.
Third best team in the division from February 12th. So it wasn't unrealistic. They just had a very shitty start that they couldn't come back from.
I mean, yeah, it's easy. But again, it's easier to win games when you're worried about losing them.
Hey, still the third best team in the North after the first month.
We'll see how that goes next year. I mean, they may have been the third best team in the division to end the season. I promise you they will not be the third best team in the division next season.
Probably not, but they don't need to be the third best team in the division.
No, they got to be in the top 4.
Well, not even. You just got to be in the top 8.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's not how it works anymore.
Yeah, isn't it only the top? If they go back to what they were doing last year or the year before, it was going to be the top 3 plus the 2 wild cards.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah.
Well, so technically, top 8 doesn't matter anymore because the best team in one division could be the 8th best team in the conference. So.
Well, yeah, it's ridiculous, but. To me, like I honestly believe they should just go through the 1 through 8, the 2 division.
I don't know why they get rid of that. This is so stupid the way they do it now.
Like the 2 division winners should be 1-2 because you have to be rewarded for winning your division. Like that, like there's no point in having a division.
The same way the NFL does it.
Yeah, top 2 win your you get 1-2 if you win your division and the best 6. Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree. 100%.
But like realistically, we're both in the Atlantic. Like we're both Atlantic teams, Montreal and Ottawa. You have Buffalo. Who knows what's happening with them? They don't even know what's happening with them. Detroit, who's on the up and up, but I still think they're a couple years away. And I mean, if they can't re-sign Bernier and Grice doesn't figure it out, who knows what happens with them? Florida has shown that they haven't shown that they're a consistent enough team to really be worried about them.
I think though that team that they have built right now is actually built for some sustainable success. Kind of the same way
Barkov decides to leave.
I don't think he will though. If they pay him,
if they're struggling next year, if they're struggling, if they're like fighting for a playoff spot, and you have to decide between trading Barkov or risk losing him for free agency, like the Islanders did with Tavares, what do you think they're going to take?
You're also assuming that they're struggling, and like I said, I think they're built for success.
I don't know. They haven't done it consistently.
Yeah, I mean, look how well they're playing right now, though, and that's without their best player.
Who?
Aaron Ekblad.
Oh no! I feel like you're down 3-1, and then Knight steals you a game because that's what he did. Like Knight stole them that game.
You're also playing against this. Let's be fair. If Tampa had Kucherov and they had spent this amount, they spent $100 million on this team that they have on the ice right now.
Yeah.
That is well above the cap hit.
Yeah, it's like $20 million above the cap hit.
More. It's like 30.
How? The cap hit's like 81.5.
No, it went down. It's not 81.
Yeah, it's 81.
Let's see.
It's a flat cap of 81.5.
Let me Google it. What is 81?
They go to cap.
Either way, they're still well over the cap.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's the loophole, right?
But I mean, we're also talking about the Panthers. The Panthers are still kicking without their best player against a team that spent more than $20 million over the cap.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'd say they're having a good year.
They're having a good year, but can they do it again? That's the question.
I believe so. I think this is the same thing with Carolina, where we all asked the question of can they do it again?
Yeah, they've done it. They've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. I think.
Yeah, but they had to start with one.
Yeah, but this is the second time in Florida's history that they've made it back-to-back years. They've never made it 3 years in a row.
There's always first time for everything.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like I like your optimism for Florida, and I like Florida. I like there's a lot of guys on that team that I like, but there's no data that shows that they're going to do it well again next year. Like all the evidence points to them having a bad year and struggling.
We'll have to see. I don't know. I don't know if I believe the analytics. And actually, the analytics brings me into something that I want to talk about last because I want to get into a little bit of baseball. If you're good with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Charlie Montoyo needs to get a clue. What are we doing, Shane?
Sucking.
What are we doing?
Throwing away games.
What?
Literally throwing away games.
Look, call me a traditionalist. Call me old-fashioned. But what the hell is this?
Done. What the hell happened? Sorry, Yates is done for the year now?
Yeah, Kirby Yates has been done for the year since spring training.
I thought he was throwing in. He started throwing in Buffalo.
No, we got Tommy John, and at the beginning of the year, and he's done.
What the hell?
They knew that this was a big possibility when they signed him, though. It was a 1-year deal. I doubt that he's ever going to play a game for the Blue Jays, to be honest.
Maybe they sign him again next year.
What is this garbage of we're not going to actually have a closer? We're just going to use who we think is analytically best for the situation. What is that?
Romano needs to be the closer.
That's what I'm saying.
Be your setup guy. Chatwood should be your 7-8 guy, and Romano should be your 9 guy.
Look, if you don't want Romano to be the closer, I don't care. If you want DeLeese to be the closer, put him out there to close the game every night. Don't put him out there in the 7th inning. I don't think he's trash. I think he's inconsistent. But if you want DeLeese to be the closer, put him out there to close games every night. Don't put him out there in the 7th inning.
That's the thing is that like you either commit to a closer, you're gonna struggle. Like the bullpen has struggled. Like I don't know.
The Blue Jays went through
2 games in a row against Tampa that they literally threw the game away.
Yep. The Jays went through 10 different pitchers to close games last year. I think they've already gone through 6 this year. And you know what? Fair enough. Ken Giles was your closer last year. He gets hurt. So you turn to a kind of closer by committee.
What happened? What happened to Ken Giles? I feel like
Ken Giles had, I don't know, I can't remember what he had. I think it was an elbow thing. But because it was such a short season, he kind of missed the whole deal.
Where is he now? Is he still
Seattle? He's in Seattle now.
Oh, rough.
Yeah, they let him go. Stupid. But, I mean, I guess the thinking, like, for everybody was, okay, Jordan Romano has proven that he can be the closer of this team.
Yeah.
You can now move on from Ken Giles. Well, then you sign Kirby Yates. Fantastic. Now you have your closer. And then he goes out for the season. So plan B is obviously Jordan Romano, correct?
It would have to be.
I think not, said Charlie Montoyo.
I think they messed up. I think Chatwood should be their 7 guy, their 7-8 inning guy to lead up to Romano, especially at home.
When you use your best pitcher out of the bullpen in the 7th inning, you're going to lose the baseball game.
Especially when you then turn only for 1 inning.
When you then turn to Rafael Dolis, Tyler Chatwood, and when he can't get out of the inning, Travis Bergen, you're toast. You're toast. Like, they need Julian Merriweather back right now.
Yeah. They have Monana. I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
Alek Manoah.
Manoah coming up for tomorrow's game.
Yep. That's going to be an onslaught. You know what? Honestly, I'm okay with that. I don't really.
It's going to be an onslaught.
I don't think he's ready to be on. I mean, clearly the Blue Jays do. I haven't had a chance to really watch him yet. I don't like the move to bring him up incredibly early, but it signals to me that they're going to do something. And if he doesn't work out, there's a trade coming.
There has to be.
They've got to do something. So, look, Ross Stripling looked fantastic behind Trent Thornton last night. The problem is, Trent Thornton gave up 5 runs in the first inning.
And then we came back to tie it and then gave up 7.
Can we talk about this for 1 second? Trent Thornton walked in a run on a 3-2 pitch that arguably could have been called a strike and then proceeded to give up a grand slam. Stop walking guys. Stop it. Shane, I pulled up this stat. The Blue Jays have 6 intentional walks in the last 2 weeks.
Ridiculous.
in the last week. That is every intentional walk that they've issued this season. That is more than double the team in second. What has happened to them when they intentionally walk guys? They score.
They blown up. Yeah,
they score. Stop walking guys.
The inability to get out of runners in scoring position the last 2 weeks with the inability to score with runners in scoring position have hurt them.
Yep. And I mean,
it's a combination that you don't want, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll take this combination. This seems like a fun combination.
When you look at the pitchers in the bullpen, and I mean, they were fantastic to start the year. Credit to them, but I think they're starting to come back down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, they're finally starting to get their backs are finally starting to give out for carrying this team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many games did we see the bullpen take over in the 3rd or 4th inning?
Yep, exactly, and that is something people are asking why they're going to address the rotation when it's clearly the bullpen that's giving out. And I mean, you said it right there. Their backs are giving out. They need somebody in this rotation that's going to consistently go 6 innings every time they're out there.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Ryu does. Ryu is the team's off day for the bullpen. You're going to need 3 guys out of there maybe. And
I think Ray and Ryu are the 2 guys that will go the longest.
And Steven Matz, to his credit, the last couple of outings has looked shaky, but before that and tonight, he has looked really, really good.
If Matz can turn into a guy that can give him even 5 strong innings, because realistically, they have the bullpen where you can go 5-2-1-1 kind of thing, or you go 5-3-1. If Matz could turn into a minimum 5 inning guy, and you have Ryu and Ray that can go push it to 7, you should be good.
I really hope for the Jays' sake that Alek Manoah can come up and he can just be passable as a starting pitcher in the big leagues. You know what I mean? If he can come up and he can have quality starts, 6 innings, less than 3 runs given up, or 3 or less runs given up every night, everybody would be happy. I don't care if he loses every single start. If he has quality starts, we're happy.
Yeah, because
all you need at that point, you just need Thomas Hatch to come up and also be passable as a number 5 starter. At that point, if your rotation looks like Ryu, Robbie Ray, Steven Matz, Alek Manoah, and Thomas Hatch, and then you can get Julian Merryweather back in the bullpen, and you can actually have Jordan Romano close a game, I think you're fine. You're not great, but you're fine. But, oh my God, Charlie is the guy is so nice. He's such a nice guy. But, holy crap, he's something else as a manager. I don't know.
He's a Tampa product. What do you expect?
Forget the analytics, okay? This garbage of some nights Dolis is going to close and Romano will pitch in the 7th, and then Chatwood is going to pitch in the 7th. The next night, Romano's closing and Dolis in the 8th. Stop it. Stop it. Just pick an inning when the guy is going to be ready. You've watched Jordan Romano in the bullpen?
Yeah.
He's moving the entire freaking game. Fine. He can get in it whenever he's needed. Just Give the dude a window when he's going to come into a game. Pick a closer.
Like Romano,
pick a closer.
Romano can also be a 2-inning guy.
You don't ideally you don't want him to be because you'd rather him pitch. But that's Jordan Romano is the best pitcher in the bullpen.
But
use him as a closer.
If you need him in it, if you need him to do the 8th and the 9th inning, he is capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He can go through the rotation once effectively.
Yep.
So,
by the way, Vlad is 2 for 2 with a walk tonight, I believe.
Yeah, I mean he's looking like one of the best hitters in the game finally.
When does the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. MVP talk start?
Next year.
I don't know if we're gonna have to wait till next year. I think it's gonna be this season.
I mean, if he can continue this hot streak, I think it goes this year. But
even when he was cold, he was dangerous.
But I think if you're looking at serious consideration, I think his name will be thrown out there this year. But I think if you're looking at serious consideration, it's next season.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think, but look, people who wanted to give up on Vlad, please let us know. Send us a message on Twitter. I
joked about it. I joked about it because I was like, hey, let's trade him because he's crap. As a joke because everyone was just
yeah.
Because he's 19 when he came into the league.
Anybody who genuinely thought that he was a bust, either
I don't understand why we're continuing. I've never understood this in sports. Why are we labeling a 19, 20, 21, or 22-year-old a bust? I've never understood that. Yep. I've never understood it. I never will understand it. I think it's idiotic.
Yep. If you genuinely thought that he was a bust, either A, you know nothing about baseball, or B, you just don't like the guy, I guess. But just chill. Just chill. The guy's he's not going to hit like this all season. He's not going to be, incredible all the time. But this is Vlad. He's dangerous. He's going to hit. He's going to hit home runs. And you know what? He's playing good defensively, too. There's not much more you could ask for.
We're crap in the bed. We have dropped.
Yeah. No, now you're playing 500 baseball. You're 5 games back in the wild card. Or 4.5 games back. Games. 5.5 in the wild card, 8 in the division. Like that.
5.5 in the division.
That 5-game losing streak is hard enough, but when you lose 5 games to the Red Sox, was it 5 or was it actually 6 games? It was 6 games. When you lose 6 games,
2 series between the Rays and the
So they won the first one against the Red Sox and then dropped the next 2 and then they lost 4 straight to the Rays.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You cannot lose that many games in your division. And you know what? The blame of it all, I honestly believe, lies on the shoulders of Charlie Montoyo. You cannot make these decisions with the bullpen. Pick a closer, set your order, get guys ready to go when they need to pitch, and stop this guessing game. Enough.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But anyways, guys, that will end today's episode because we're over an hour and we're trying to keep these things around an hour. Thank you all for tuning in. It was a pleasure, as always. We'll be back next Tuesday with a brand new episode at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can follow myself at Shane_RY13 and at Frankie at Frankie Benvo.
_ Benvo.
You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, 13th Man Sports. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our podcast as well on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And we'll catch you back here next week. Stay safe and enjoy the weather, guys.